This is the Mariners POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the Seattle Mariners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Mariners lose 13-4. They still have a 2-1 lead in the ALCS. Your winning pitcher, Shane Bieber. Your losing pitcher, George Kirby. Welcome to the Locked On Mariners Postcast. We go live after every single Seattle Mariner game. My name is Chris Crawford. Anders Hurst will be joining us soon. There's a rule about when you can go live and do something at MLB stadiums. So he'll be joining us in about 5 to 10 minutes, and you'll just have to listen to me. Thank you guys so much for joining. I know today sucks. Today really sucks, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk about the implosion from George Kirby. We'll talk about this offense doing absolutely nothing from inning 2 to, I believe, inning 8. And we'll talk about how big this is, how big a deal it is to lose this game. For those absolutely new to the show, we go live after every single Seattle Mariner game. We recap that game. And that's why I hate my job right now. I hate it. Because if I'm being completely honest with you, I will just tell you, I still have all the confidence in the world that the Seattle Mariners are going to win this series. You can't win every game you play. You're going to lose. Sweeping the Toronto Blue Jays was always extremely unlikely. And I still have all the faith in the world that Luis Castillo and the combination of Brian Wu and Bryce Miller, I almost did it again. I still have all the confidence in the world that they're going to get it done Friday and that we're not going to even see games in Toronto. Toronto, not Toronto, Toronto. I've worked so hard on that. We can only recap tonight. That's our job, to talk about tonight. And tonight sucked out loud. The Seattle Mariners were a dreadful baseball team for all but 2 innings. They were terrible. Terrible, 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 terrible. Doesn't mean the Mariners are going to lose this series. Doesn't even mean the Mariners aren't favorites to win this series. The Blue Jays still have to win 3 of the next 4 games. The Seattle Mariners are still in control of this series. But all I can do is talk about tonight, after I give you that caveat, that I still think the Mariners are okay. But boy, oh boy, if they play like this, nobody's okay. They could face the Colorado Rockies tomorrow, and they'd still probably win. But if they play like this against real major league teams, no, doesn't matter how big of a lead you have. Doesn't matter how good your starters are. Everything was bad tonight. The bullpen was bad. The defense was bad. The starting pitching was bad. Hi, George. George was not good tonight. And it's funny because the first inning, he looked great. The second inning, he looked fine. The third inning was 10 pounds of you-know-what in a 5-pound bag. He was just awful. He was just awful from that point on. He didn't have his command. I saw some people suggesting he was tipping pitches. I don't think it's that. I think he was just middle with everything. I mean, let's start with the very start of the scoring, right? So it's 2-0 Mariners, and we'll get into that. It's 2-0 Mariners, and he gives up a double to Ernie Clement, who has just been on fire. And not a great pitch. He challenges Andres Gimenez, who is objectively one of the worst hitters in baseball in 2025. He's been terrible. He's been terrible this offseason, or this postseason as well. He leaves a fastball down the middle of the plate, and Andres Gimenez gets him. And my thought is, wow, God really doesn't love the Seattle Mariners sometimes. Horrible pitch, but like Andres Gimenez, really? And then from that point on, he was just awful. He was awful. And my biggest issue from this game, and if you guys look, for those of you who are listening on Spotify or Apple or however you get your podcasts, come check us out on YouTube sometimes. We put a little thing where we have 3 little sections here. And on all 3 of mine, they say, they gave up. And my personal opinion is Dan Wilson gave up on this game by leaving leaving George Kirby in after the 3rd inning. He gave up. he gave up on the Seattle Mariners. He gave up on their chances of winning that game by leaving George Kirby in that game. 100,000%. He should have been pulled. That should have been his last inning. Should have been, but it wasn't. And unfortunately, 3 more runs score. And I'm telling you right now, I know they end up losing by 9 runs, okay? The difference between being down 8-2, 9-2, 12-2, all that stuff compared to maybe your relievers with a fresh start, maybe your relievers with a chance to do some damage there. Maybe if you're using a high leverage guy in the 4th, and then you can go to your blowout guys, which is how you're supposed to do it. Maybe it's a different outcome. But no, Dan Wilson gave up on this game. And whether he should or not is totally up to you guys to decide. Me personally, a postseason game, hell no. Hell no, you shouldn't give up a postseason game. Hell no. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? With a chance to get 2 games for the freaking World Series? Are you kidding me? You gave up. By the way, seen a lot of comments disagree. Sucks to be you, because it's my show, and I'm going to tell you how I freaking feel. You can go find somebody else. You kidding me? You care that much? Or you don't care that much? You're giving up games because you saw some freaking nerd write about FanGraphs about actually if you have the 4th and 5th game with your high leverage relief. Screw that. You gave up. How do you give up? Sad. Sad that you don't care. Sad that this doesn't bother you. Sad. Should bug you. Should bug you that your manager gave up. Should bug you. If you disagree, okie dokie. That's what I should have said, but I didn't. No, it sucks. It sucks. Sucks. Mariners, I just yelled a lot.
You gave up.
Yeah, they gave up.
How do you give up?
I don't know. The comments seem to think it's a great idea. Thank God. If you manage a business, send me an email, ChristopherVCrawford@gmail.com, to make sure I never go to your business, because I know that you will give up on whatever service you're about to give me. Please let me know.
Yeah, if this is game 98 in the regular season.
Oh God, yeah, give
where,
up like crazy.
Yes. This is not, guys. And I was talking to a lot of people going into this game. A bunch of people from KJR going, and I'm here in the press box, of course, live at T-Mobile Park, where the first couple innings were great, and it was fun, and it was great to see Julio hit another home run, but a wasted Julio performance once again. It seems like a common thing here in these playoffs. But it just feels like 3-0 versus 2-1 is probably the biggest one-game difference that I can think of in any playoff series. If you 3-0, it's over. It is over. Straight up over. 2-1, Toronto feels like, especially the way it happened, they're back in this series. They can win tomorrow, and all the momentum is with them. And they feel like they can just go out and get everything they want, especially with this offense now. Basically, everyone that was struggling in the first couple games is not anymore. It's not. They feel like they're good. Addison Barger hits a home run late in the game. Vlad Guerrero almost hits for the cycle. Feel like he could have gotten the triple if he really wanted to. In what was that, the 7th inning, I think, at that point. Yeah, man. This is tough. I would have loved to go for the jugular, and I realize those Mariner fans that are like, we still have the lead. This is why we built that 2-game lead. Sure. I understand that.
Yeah, I don't even disagree.
Thank God you won those first 2 games.
Yeah, absolutely.
But to me, I would have loved to see a little more killer instinct. I don't know about you, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
I totally agree. And again, I said at the very beginning of the show, guys, that I still think the Mariners are in a great position. I still think that they should be overwhelming favorites. I still feel very confident in Luis Castillo, and I feel confident in Bryce Wu and Brian Miller. I did it on purpose this time.
I know you did.
I still feel very confident in those guys getting the job done. Heck, I feel confident in George Kirby being much better if it did. Knocking on wood that it won't, has to pitch again in this series. I still feel confident in him. He looked so good against Detroit.
Can I ask you something, though?
Yeah, please.
I know it's hindsight now because we've seen it happen, but if you, going into today, if you can go back in time a little bit, if you were to choose a pitcher, you don't even have to look at the previous, rest and everything. If you were to choose a pitcher who matches up better with the Toronto Blue Jays, who would you pick between George Kirby and Luis Castillo?
Oh, probably Castillo. Probably Castillo. I will. The only thing I will say, though, is that George Kirby looked so good in those 2 starts against Detroit. So good. But I do have a lot of faith. And you know what? This is the other thing. We talked about this before, Anders. This is also why I think it was the right thing to do this rotation order, because Game 4 is massive. It's absolutely massive. It was going to be massive if you were up 3-1. It was going to be massive 2-2. Now you're up 2-1. Now you have a chance with The Rock to take back the control of this series. And guys, it's simple as this. It's a 3-game homestand. If you win the 3-game homestand, you go to the World Series. But that's why it bothers me so much that they gave up on this game. Yes. It bothers me that they gave up on this game. And it may end up working out. It may end up working out really well. I will have thoughts about this game if the Seattle Mariners lose this series. Oh, will I have a lot of thoughts. Let's take a quick commercial break. Thank you guys so much again for coming out. I apologize for the yelling on your if you're listening, but you know what? I care. I give a crap about this team. I want this really, really bad. We'll talk about the offense, which was not very good either. Coming up next, thank you guys so much for tuning in on to the Mariners Locked On Sports Postcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, and boy, oh boy, if you bet on the Blue Jays and you had Blue Jays in your lineup, congratulations on being as rich as anyone in the country. The NFL season, though, is here, and FanDuel has an app and an offer that you do not want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 back in bonus bets if you win. That's right. You just pick a bet, you put down those $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So many different ways to play, parlays, in-game betting, which is a heck of a lot of fun. Gives you a chance to kind of feel like you're in the game. And if you're feeling good and you're responsible with it, you can visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and to get started. Today's episode is also brought to you by the good folks at Gametime. There's nothing like catching a baseball game live, despite what happened tonight. The energy, the crowd, the chance to see your team in person, but actually getting tickets, that's the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees. It takes all the fun out of it. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, it's easy, and it's backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. There's a lot of apps out there where you're budgeting, right? You're budgeting because this is a big thing to get to go to a postseason game. And you think you got your budget all figured out, and then you get to the end and you check out, or you're about to check out, and you look and you see there's an extra $150 or $200. No, that changes everything, and that wastes your time. And maybe those tickets are gone by then. That's why I use Gametime, because you know you're going to get the best deal all the time. And if you download the Gametime app, you create an account, and you use code LOCKEDONMLB, you can get $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, that's LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. Welcome back to the Mariners Postcast. Chris Crawford, Anderson Hurst. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know it's a bummer. It's a bummer, right? Like, yeah. Especially after you win those first two. You win that second game so convincingly. And again, I'm going to say it for the fourth time. The Seattle Mariners are not done. It's not even close. No. It's the opposite of it. The opposite. You've got a great chance to still close this series out. But tonight sucks. And that's why I said, Anders, when I first started this, I hate my job tonight. I hate it because I don't get to do the, hey, you know what? It's okay. We can only react to tonight. let's start with talk about the offense. We could talk about the bullpen. Everyone in the bullpen stunk. All of the bullpen arms that were used are not high leverage guys. It is what it is.
I don't think it matters that much. Yeah, I'd rather talk about the offense.
Nope. It just doesn't. Offensively, you get off to a really nice start. Randy Arozarena draws a walk. Yes. Cal Raleigh flies out, and then Randy Arozarena almost gets picked off first base. I don't think he read that baseball very well, my friend, but he gets back, and Julio Rodriguez just mashes a 2-run homer. Anders, how great were you feeling after that 2-run homer?
It wasn't just me, man. It was this entire ballpark. It was rocking. It was absolutely rocking. And I cannot stop watching that video of him mollywopping that baseball, 112 plus miles an hour off the bat. He was on time to an inside fastball. It made me feel things that I haven't felt in a long time. And it was awesome, man. It's like I was excited. I thought that, and that's what kind of kills me about today. If it would be one thing if you had kind of not shown much from the start. Blue Jays just came out and were like, oh, okay, this is our game. We're not going down without a fight. And you'd have to hand it to them at that point. But it's not like you didn't have the chance to shut them down in this game. Right. And that's where it's like, we can go back to the decision to throw Kirby out there for the 4th inning, but it just, I don't know, man. It's not like this game was just done after those the 5-run 3rd inning from Toronto. And you saw that, like, it was 5-2 at that point. You go back to back later in the game. I realized, like, domino chips, they're not using their best relievers and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, if you're weighing who long-term do you feel better about right now, I'd say overall, just from this game, it's the Toronto Blue Jays, right? I realize the Mariners still have a 2-1 lead in this series. And I realize that in general, the pitching has been very good against the very good Blue Jays lineup. But a lot of that lineup that had struggled in the first 2 games in Toronto has now gotten going. And I'm a huge momentum guy. And especially in a 7-game series when you feel like things can definitely switch on a dime. It felt like you had Bieber dead to rights, and it just feels like they didn't take enough advantage of that. They could have gotten more in that 1st inning, it feels as well. Yeah. And there was just too many missed opportunities today for me. I don't know about, do you feel the same way?
Feel the exact same way. I even skeeted it out. That's what they call it on Blue Sky, guys. That's not a Yin Yang Twins reference as much as I
thought it was a reference to Skeeter.
Oh, I love Skeeter too. Yeah, Skeeter and Shelton also did not enjoy this game very much. I can hear him yelling from Mankey Lumber right now. Yeah, you kind of let him off the hook to go full Denny Green on you. Like, you know, because Polanco ropes that double, and then Josh Naylor has one of his worst at-bats, I think, as a Seattle Mariner. And let's just talk about the bottom of this lineup right now, Anders. It stinks. And it sucks, too, because – you know, and I know Gino gets a hit today, and that was great to see, the line drive.
Yep.
He looked really bad in the other at-bats tonight. Dom Canzone looks absolutely lost at the plate. And Victor Robles has been atrocious with the bat. He's now hitting 115, 281, 192 in the postseason. Dom Canzone's hitting 067, 125, 067. Gino's at 152, 200, 273. And J.P. Crawford's at 241, 250, 345. After Naylor, right now, and this is against righties, this lineup stinks. It's really been bad. And here's what I'll say, ultimately. It's a good thing the front 5 you have right now are really good. And you get a home run from Randy Arozarena. Big Dumper hits the most garbage time homers in the history of the sport. But, hey, still cool to see a Big Dumper homer.
Still counts.
If you would have told me that Randy Arozarena, Cal Raleigh, and Julio Rodriguez were going to hit homers tonight, I'd say the Mariners win this game pretty easily.
Yeah.
Pretty easily. Instead, they lose by 9, which is just baseball, man. Baseball.
Yep. It's baseball.
But I'm so worried about the bottom of this lineup, not just because of what's happening tonight, but because if you are going to win the World Series and you are going to beat the Los Angeles Dodgers or the Milwaukee Brewers, but let's be honest, the Los Angeles Dodgers, you got to have a more complete lineup than they have.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where we can look ahead, right? The players cannot, the coaches cannot. We as fans and, analysts, I guess you could say, if you really want to put us into that category, we can look ahead a little bit, and we can kind of play the long game a little bit with these guys. I love that from Kyle. Give Rivas a shot at second and DH Polo.
The only reason I disagree there, Kyle, is I would do the opposite. Yeah, I would just reverse the positions. I would have Rivas at second base, and I would.
Polo's been fine at second.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed. See, this is what happens when you get really angry, is because you forget how to
start reading things. Yeah.
Yes. Give Rivas the second base. Let Polo DH. That's also a nice break on Polo's legs. You want to keep this guy as fresh as possible as well. And Rivas is a better defensive player than Polanco. Polanco's done fine in these postseason defense, but Rivas is a better defender. I think you have to. And here's the other thing. As a positive can zone, it does change how teams manage a baseball game. If you know that guy who, Dom Canzone, as bad as he's been, he's still a guy who can run into one with the best one. That's 80 grade power. You have to think about using a left-hander in that situation for relief. And you have Mitch Garver as a guy who can be, okay, if you did that, we'll go to Garver in this situation. It just makes it a little bit easier. I'm just going to be completely honest, Anders, after tonight, I don't know if Dan Wilson has the ability to use those guys correctly. I just hate everything that he did tonight. I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
And it sucks because I think in the Detroit series, one of the things that made it such kind of a stressful series is because it felt like AJ Hinch was always one step ahead of Dan Wilson, right?
Yeah.
In the first two games of this series, John Schneider was 2 steps behind Dan Wilson.
No doubt about it.
And it really felt like for once the Mariners had the managerial advantage there. And tonight, I think it really reared its ugly head. Like, oh, maybe that isn't necessarily the case. So I don't know. I think this is where the managers really kind of make their money, so to speak.
No doubt.
In this part, when you have options, when you can make urgent moves, and you're just not playing the long game of giving guys rest and stuff like that. You're trying to win the game right here, right now. And I feel like he made a couple bad moves today. And that's not to say that he's been a bad manager in the postseason. That's not to say that, the Mariners don't deserve to be here or anything like that. It's just he made a couple bad moves today.
Yeah,
and that's it is what it is.
It is what it is. I think it's disappointing that your manager has cost you. You know what? I'm not even going to say Dan Wilson cost you the game tonight. He didn't.
No,
Dan Wilson
it was
didn't.
Kirby.
It was George Kirby tonight. It sucks. But George Kirby, and then Carlos Vargas was awful. Caleb Ferguson, I almost said the nickname for Caleb Ferguson that I won't say, but everybody knows what it is right now. And Luke Jackson, all three of those guys were well below average pitchers on top of.
But they're supposed to be.
Yeah. Those are the things, right? Like, here's the other thing too. So game 4, massive game. Just cannot overstate how big this game is. And thank God it's in Seattle. Thank God it's the Rock pitching. I still have all the confidence in the world in that guy. But, for everybody saying, oh, the Mariners didn't use their high leverage guys, neither did the Blue Jays. So it's not really as big of an advantage as you think, guys. I think the one nice thing is I was rooting for it. I wanted Toronto to just keep scoring. Just keep scoring. As soon as Dan Wilson gave up on the game, I was like, keep going. Keep going. Score 20 and hope that you're out of offense for the next game, right?
Yeah.
But man, oh man, the thing that sucks about tonight is how much pressure it puts on you for tomorrow.
And that's the one thing where I was very curious as to why the decision was to go Kirby then Castillo instead of the opposite way, because for me, just the biggest thing is I don't think between the top 4 starters, there's not a big enough gap to where you can justify throwing out the guy with less rest. And that's where I would have liked to see Castillo. And now the dude has thrown 14 pitches in what will be 10 days.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
So, is he going to be the same guy? I hope he is. And I trust that his process is going to be fine and his routine is going to prepare him for being in this game and starting in a big postseason game. But I would have liked to see the guy that can probably just shove it on this lineup a little bit, go get a 3-game lead and then have Kirby for the closeout. I just think that makes a little bit more sense to me. Now, I realize that, you're eventually going to have to throw the other one either way. Sure. But I don't know. Even going into this game, before this had happened, I was a little bit questionable regarding the decision to go Kirby, then Castillo instead of the other way around.
The counterpoint to that, though, would be, Anders, if Luis Castillo got shellacked tonight, how confident are you feeling about George Kirby pitching in game 4, right? Like, and I guess it doesn't really matter all that much because you need to get 2 out of 3. That's the whole thing here, is you got to win 2 out of 3. Now you got to win 2 out of 2 to win the series in Seattle. And I think ultimately that's the ultimate goal, right?
If this goes back to Toronto, I am worried. I'm just going to tell you right flipping
100,000%. 100,000%. Like, you know, the fact that Seattle has played so well in Toronto is nice, but at the same time, boy, is that team due to lose a game in the postseason in Toronto. They've won 4 straight. They've won 4 straight against that team in Toronto. And again, guys, the overall takeaway here is tonight sucked. Tonight was awful. Tonight could have been somewhat avoidable, but you still got a chance to do some special stuff.
Yep.
Nothing is over. Nothing is even kind of over. The Seattle Mariners are still overwhelming favorites to win this series, but you got to play better than you did tonight. Anders,
got to win tomorrow. Got to win tomorrow. That's all I'm going to say.
Got to win tomorrow. And what else you got to do is hit like, hit subscribe. Don't copy and paste me screaming because it's not nice, even though it's something that I probably would do. Really appreciate the support, guys. Ty and Colby, I'm sure, will be coming out with an episode very soon. I imagine Colby will have similar reactions to mine, but I don't blame him one bit. Really appreciate you guys tuning in. Thanks again. Locked On Sports. Really appreciate it.